Good afternoon, students. In the last class, we were studying about the seed. What is the definition of the seeds? And the seed consists of which and all parts? It consists of the cotyledons, embryonal axis, and the seed coat. The seed coat are of double layered. That is, one is testa, that is outer layer, and tegmen, which is the inner layer. A micropyle is present from where the water and the oxygen moves outside and inside. That is the transmission of the oxygen and the water go happens through the small pore called as micropyle. Then there is a perisperm. Perisperm is nothing but the remains of the nucellus, where the nucellus which is present surrounding the embryo sac, that if it remains in the seed, that is nothing but called as perisperm. Then dormancy, which we have discussed yesterday, dormancy is nothing but the state of inactivity where the seed becomes inactive. There is no function happening. It doesn't germinate, and in the unfavorable conditions, it remains inactive. When there are favorable conditions, it grows. Like for the example, if there is any drought, no water, no sunlight or any such thing, the seed becomes inactive. That is, it becomes dormant. Dormant seed is nothing but that seed which is inactive. Then no activity takes place in it. Okay. Whereas uh, in the dormant seed, like why it becomes dormant because it adapts itself in the unfavorable conditions to remain inactive. Yes. Whereas in the favorable conditions it becomes active. It has this transmission of the water and oxygen, as well as it grows, it germinates. So these are the different parts and the different functions of the seed. And seed is nothing but it is a post-fertilization product of the ovule. That is, the ovule develops into seed, or the seed is a fertilized ovule. Next, coming to seed formation. Now, seed formation, here students see. Here, you remember the integuments, right? Yes, you remember the integuments? These are the outer integuments, inner integuments. They become the seed coat. Yes, they become the seed coat. Like the outer integument becomes the testa, and the inner integument becomes the tegmen. These are the integuments becomes the seed coat, outer seed coat and inner seed coat. Yes. Then this part is the micropyle. This part is nothing but called as a micropyle. So you remember from here, the in the megasporangium, the micropyle helps in the movement of the pollen tube. Yes, the micropyle helps in the movement of the pollen tube. Here, it is a pore entry of oxygen water during germination. Yes, from here, the water and the oxygen move outside and inside. There is a transmission of the oxygen and the water moving inside and outside. So this part is known as micropyle. Yes, this part is known as micropyle. So we are studying about the seed formation. How does the seed forms? The integuments becomes the seed coat. The micropyle helps in the movement of the water and oxygen. Yes, embryo, plumule, radicle, and the cotyledons. Yes, this part it becomes the plumule, the radicle, that is the plumule is the shoot, a radicle is the root part, and the cotyledons is nothing but the covering. Endosperm is nothing but which nourishes the growing embryo. Endosperm is nothing but which nourishes the developing embryo. But in some of the seeds, the endosperm remains, students. Endosperm is nothing but which provides nourishment to the developing embryo. But in some of those seeds, the endosperm remains. Now, what are those seed called as? So until now, you have got to know how the seed formation takes place. The integuments becomes the seed coat, that is the testa and the tegmen. Yes. Then the micropyle, which helps in the movement of the water oxygen. Then there is a root part, the shoot part, which we have already studied in the embryonal axis, and the cotyledons, which covers the seed. Either it is a one cotyledon, one cover, or one layer, or two cotyledons, that is two covering, that is dicots and monocots. An endosperm is nothing but a food storing tissue or a nourishment tissue which nourishes the developing embryo. You need to remember what is an endosperm. Endosperm is nothing but a nourishing tissue it is. Next, coming to non-endospermic or non-albuminous seed. Now, what is this? Here itself, students, if it is asked for you to give the definition, if it is asked for you to give the definition of non-endospermic seed or non-albuminous seed, here itself you have to get the idea. Non-endospermic means what? Where there is no endosperm. Okay, you need to remember it in very easy way. No endosperm. Okay, that's it. You need to remember non-endospermic means the seed which doesn't contain any endosperm. The seed which do not have any endosperm. The seed which do not contain or do not have any endosperm is nothing but called as non-endospermic seed. What it is called as? Non-endospermic seed. The seed which do not have any endospermic tissue present, or the which do not have any remnants or the remains of the endosperm in the seed is nothing but called as non-endospermic seed or non-albuminous seed. Yes, non-endospermic seed or non-albuminous seed. So, if all the endosperm is absorbed by the developing embryo, the seed is a non-endospermic seed. Example, broad bean, groundnut, and pea. Yes, if the embryo takes up all the nutrition tissue, that is, if the embryo takes up all the endospermic tissue for its development, there doesn't remain any endosperm. Such seeds are called as non-endospermic. Means there is no endosperm present at all. There is no endosperm present at all, so it is called as non-endospermic. If all the endosperm is taken up, if all the endosperm is taken up by the developing embryo, if all the endosperm is absorbed by the developing embryo, the seed is called as non-endospermic seed. It is called as non-endospermic seed. The definition can be asked for you. Write down the definition of non-endospermic seed or non-albuminous seed. Yes, non-endospermic seed or non-albuminous seed with an example. So you need to give this definition. If all the endosperm is absorbed by the developing embryo, the seed is non-endospermic seed or non-albuminous seed. Example is pea, groundnut, and broad bean. So you need to know the example as well. Why you need to know the example? The question can be asked in this way. Give the definition of non-endospermic seed with example. This question can be asked for 2 marks, or otherwise give the differentiation between non-endospermic seed and endospermic seed. So like this also the question can be asked. So 1 point can be your definition, whereas the second point has to be your explanation. Examples. 1 point has to be your definition, whereas the second point can be your example, so that it sums up the 2 marks for you. So it sums up the 2 marks for you. Remember, student, as an exam point of view, you need to remember that definition carries 1 marks, example carries 1 more marks for both the differentiation. So it altogether will give you 2 marks. So you need to remember, along with the definition, you need to remember the examples as well. So non-endospermic seed or non-albuminous seed, if all the endosperm is taken up by the developing embryo, the seed is called as non-endospermic seed. Means there is no presence of endosperm in that seed. There is no presence of the endosperm in that seed. So this is called as non-endospermic seed. Next, coming to endospermic or albuminous seed. Now, what do you mean by this endospermic or albuminous seed? Here itself, you get the definition. Endospermic. Endospermic means the seed which contains the endosperm. The seed which has the endosperm. The seed which has the endosperm. For example, now, if all the nutrition tissue is not absorbed by the developing embryo, If it is not absorbed by the developing embryo, the seed is called as endospermic. Means there is a remains of the endosperm in it. It means that there is a remains of the endosperm in it, and the example is maize, wheat, barley, castor, and sunflower. So these are the example. Means the endosperm is not totally absorbed by the developing embryo. The embryo doesn't take up the entire endosperm. The embryo doesn't take up the entire endosperm, and the endosperm remains in the seed, and such seeds are called as endospermic seeds. Such seeds are called as endospermic seed. Example is maize, castor, wheat, and sunflower. Maize, castor, wheat, barley, and sunflower. So these are the example of the endospermic seed. That means the endospermic tissue remains. See students here. There is only the remnants of the embryo, whereas here there is a remnants of the endosperm as well. This light green thing you can see, the remnants of the endosperm as well. So if all the endosperm is not absorbed by the developing embryo, the seed is called as endospermic seed. Example is maize, wheat, barley, castor, sunflower. So the differentiation between the endospermic seed, non-endospermic seed can be asked for you. So definition and example is important. The question can be asked in this way also. Give the definition of endospermic seed, example. Give the definition of non-endospermic seed, and example. So it is very important for you to remember the definitions and the examples. Next, coming to see here. Broad bean seed it is, and this is a maize. This yellow color part you can see here, the mustard yellow part. So this part is nothing but endosperm, whereas here the endosperm is absent. So this is called as non-endospermic seed. Here the endosperm is absent, so it is called as non-endospermic seed, whereas here the endosperm is present, so it is called as endospermic seed. Then there is a cotyledon, the plumule, which is the shoot part, and the radicle, which is the root part. So this is a seed of a maize, and this is a seed of a bean. So this is a seed of the bean. So if you have better understanding, you can draw it down and take, so that you'll remember the seed which contains the endosperm, it's called as endospermic seed. The seed which do not contain endosperm is called as non-endospermic seed. So where the embryo doesn't take it up entirely for its development, the endosperm remains in the end. So this is a between the endospermic and non-endospermic, or albuminous or non-albuminous seed, and it is very important, students, when we study about the seed formation. Next, coming to the advantages of seeds. So you all know seeds are very important to sow, to grow a new plant, a new crop. Seeds are very important. You also must have used seeds for number of things, when for your gardening, for your crops, for any such thing. So you know what are the various advantages of seeds. So for the plants, seeds reserve food materials. Yes, they reserve the food material and nourishes the growing plant. It nourishes the growing plant. There are so many nutrients present in it, which helps to germinate a new plant. Seed coat protects the growing embryo. Seed coat protects the developing embryo. The seed coat, that is testa and tegmen, help in the protection of the embryo. Seeds of the large number of species live for several years. Yes, seeds of the many species can be stored for a very long time. For many years also, they can store the seeds and they can grow it later, or they can germinate it later. So seeds of the many species can be stored for a long time. Seeds are also important because they adapt to those instances or to those environment also. Like for example, if there is a no proper water, no proper sunlight, no proper nourishment, no proper fertilizers and all, so what happens, the seeds, they become dormant, and only in the favorable conditions they grow. What happens? The seed becomes inactive, and in the favorable conditions they grow. Okay, they in the favorable conditions they grow. Or for otherwise, what happens when they are dispersed to the new habitats? Like for example, now I the seed, if I take from this place and I grow it in some other place. Yes, if I take it from this place and I grow it from like for example A place, this is the A place. The seed from A place, if I take and sow it in the B place, there also it can grow. There also it can grow. So they have this adaptivity, or they can adapt themselves for that conditions. Yes, they can adapt themselves for those conditions. So seeds have a better adaptive strategies. Now for example, they become inactive when there is no proper situation